Good morning, Soul Family. I wanted to just come on here today and talk a bit about something that was kind of unfolding in my mind last night. And it's about the choices that we are available to make in our lives and how that can affect our timelines. And I do believe that, much like some of my favourite books, where you'd start with the beginning of the book and it would give you like the foundation of the story. And then it would say, if you want Jane to go through the tunnel, turn to page 74. Or if you want Jane to choose to walk away and get on the train and go back home, turn to page 94. And so there were these multiple availabilities available to Jane or to us. And I was seeing these last night and it was very strange. Like, sometimes we can see a vision or a picture of a direction that we're going. And this has happened to me in very specific moments, but sometimes, being a prophetic person, I will see visions, and I believe that they are potential outcomes depending on the characters involved and the choices that are made. However, when it involves more than just your choice and it involves other people's choices, it can have a multifaceted ending. It can go a totally different way, and that can be a little bit discombobulating sometimes. But I do believe we have free choice, and I do believe that we can change the direction. However, what I do believe is, if we're following our soul and something doesn't align because you hit a crux or you hit a roadblock, and you make the choice to choose the higher ground or what aligns with you, then you're potentially changing and choosing a new timeline. And last night I was literally observing timelines. They were like DNA spinning, but they were like smoke or dust. And there was these electrical like lines in them, and they were spinning like you would imagine a DNA would spin. And they were just literally waiting, churning, waiting next to me. And they were like tubes. And I was like, what are they waiting for? And Spirit said, timelines wait for you to make choices, and depending upon the choices, they catapult you and direct you in alignment to the choices that you've made. So if you continue to make the same choices and keep doing those karmic repeatable patterns, you're going to have you might not even notice anything's changed, because nothing needs to change. You're just doing the same old, choosing the same old type of relationships, same old type of jobs. You're not moving, you're not changing. So you might not notice any change in your life. And I was observing these timelines, and I knew that that's why there's a scripture that says a man that is wavering in his thoughts. I can't remember how it goes exactly, but he goes nowhere. He's like a man tossed about by the waves. But the moment you make a clear thought and you make that intention, I'm going there, or I'm closing that door, or I'm choosing me, or I'm choosing a different way this time, or I'm choosing to put boundaries in place and stick to them, or whatever it is, the moment you make a solidified choice, that timeline will rise to meet you and respond. It's not like punishment or reward. It's literally a response to that choice that you've made, and it will give you the evidence of the choice that you've made, right? So if you choose, let's say, for example, you choose boundaries, you choose yourself, you choose it. Yeah, so then the universe or these timelines it was almost like I was spun into the timeline of the choices, and a new path was created. If you choose, you choose that you want to do something different, and you want a different job, and you actually believe in yourself, and you choose to put action to that, and you go out and you seek for jobs that are different or outside of what you've been doing, and you solidify, is that word, rise to the occasion and say, I'm going to do that, then it creates a path that welcomes that thing to you. And it was quite strange, but I was seeing previous choice moments in my life, and I was seeing what happened when I finally made a decision one way or another, right? So when I continued to stay in let's say, for example, my marriage, and I wasn't very happy, and I chose that, then the timeline just repeated. That nothing changed. It was like Monday to Monday, week after week, month after month. My experience was the same until I chose me, and I chose that something had to change, something had to be different. Then I swapped a timeline and totally new experiences came my way, which meant that my old life crumbled and a new life was able to come up and be grown. And I've been in this transition recently where I'm seeing that perhaps I wasn't sure what choices or where I was going or what Spirit was doing. And sometimes it can be like, oh, I've had a vision of this or I see this, but you're seeing a potential timeline. But it's also delicately orchestrated, not only on your own choices but on other people's experiences. This happened particularly when I was in church, and it meant that a lot of people were involved in having to align unanimously for something to actually come into fulfillment. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together, then you're making that alignment or that agreement. But sometimes, say if you have a leader, you can see a vision of a potential outcome, but if someone's saying no, I ain't doing that, or I ain't doing the work, or I ain't doing that, then that timeline or that potential outcome is going to crumble. And I've my partner's asked me if I've gone back to sleep. No, I'm very much awake doing my videos. So it really, many times over, if it's just down to you, you can have a really clear vision of the future, because Spirit already knows what you've chosen and it's just you. So there's things that I've seen, I'm like, that's going to happen. It was black and white, and I'm living in those experiences. But I'm finding it very interesting as I go forward, because literally timelines can change, and I believe our soul will eventually have the experiences that we chose to have. There are certain soul contract specifics that are set in stone, but how that happens is very variable and up to our free will. It could be that my soul wants to experience, I don't know, a certain experience, and I'm thinking it can only happen here, but no. I know a lady that Spirit told her not to marry a certain man because she'd had a few marriages before, and she kept choosing the same type of man. And Spirit said, you deserve more than this. I've got a different road, I've got a different timeline, different path. Don't marry this man. She wore a black scarf on her wedding day because she knew that she was just doing what she felt she wanted at that time. And it ended horribly. Of course, it ended horribly. And then she had another opportunity later in the future to change that choice. Okay, so I believe that we always get these choices at certain landmarks, certain places, and we got to choose the highest path, the highest timeline for us. And if things just don't align and it doesn't feel good, then don't make that choice. And the thing is as well, I've known situations where, I was seeing last night, once you make this choice, things crumbled out of my existence. It's like the timeline not only catapulted me into a new place, to a new realm, a new chapter, which allowed me to have the experience that my soul was asking for, but it also took things away. It took things completely out of my existence. Everything went black. And I was thinking, well, I'm not married to my husband. That whole life has disappeared. It's not in my existence. It's not here. It's not present. And Spirit said that the timelines either reveal or conceal, depending on the choices that you make. And so that's why sometimes you have to wait a little bit in your choices. And there's also times when things don't align for a moment, and you make a choice based on aligning yourself to your truth, your satya, the truth of your soul and what feels good to you and what aligns with you in that moment, and you might lose something. And there's been moments where I've walked away from leading certain things because things weren't aligning and Spirit was calling me somewhere else, and I was a bit sad. I'm like, but I loved leading these people, or I loved being in that space, and I'm a bit sad, and there was this grief. But I followed my soul and I followed that path, and it all came back around, and those people are now back in my life. And, you know, some of them are not. And I do believe we just have to really align and be completely honest and real with our own truth. Moral of the story, if I was to put it simply, is stay in your own lane. Know what your truth is. Don't be looking left and right. When you find yourself in a place of confusion, come back to your heart. Come back to what feels right. Don't worry about what it looks like, or what history you've had or whatever. How does it feel? How does it feel? If it feels wrong, or it doesn't feel, it's not feeding your soul, or trust your own heart, your own truth. And you don't need to bring in any judgments. You can just make a decision for yourself and trust that decision. Line yourself up and watch new opportunities or things shift to confirm and to bring evidence that you've made that choice. And trust that your soul knows what it needs.